संत शिरोमणि रविदास की जय। ज्ञान की देवी सावित्रीबाई फूले की जय। ज्योतिबा फूले नारायणा गुरु पेरियार की जय। मौर्य वंश के दशों महाराज की जय। बोलिए हिरण्यकश्यप बलि विरोचन महाराज की जय। मान्यवर कांसीराम व सभी मूल निवासियों की जय। इन सभी को दिल में रखकर संविधान का निर्माण करने वाले विश्वरत्न बोधिसत्व बाबा साहब डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर की जय। नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्य। मैं शिव कुमार सागर सभी धम्म प्रेमियों को नमो बुद्धाय जय भीम। ये जो वाकया मैं गाने जा रहा हूँ,
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि। द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, द्वितीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि, द्वितीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि। तृतीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, तृतीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, तृतीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, तृतीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि तृतीयंपि संघं
ये हैरानी होगी कि पिछले साल बुद्ध जयंती के प्रोग्राम पे दो बड़े प्रोग्राम होते हैं। एक तो तक्षशिला महाविद्यालय और उसके नज़दीक ही अब नया बना है डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर पीस पगोड़ा। तो जो लड़का किताबों का स्टॉल करता है, राजेंद्र कुमार, मेरा उससे काफ़ी क्लोज नाता है, तो मैंने उसको फ़ोन किया बुद्ध जयंती के बाद कि भाई आज आपकी किताब स्टॉल से कितनी की किताबें बिकी। तो उसने मुझे बताया कि जो तक्षशिला है वहाँ पर उसने अपनी वाइफ को स्टॉल लगा कर दे दिया और वो चले गया डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर पीस पगोड़ा जो 3-4 किलोमीटर वहाँ से है। तो तक्षशिला में 7 स्टॉल और लगे हुए थे, एक उसका था, और पीस पगोड़ा में 3 स्टॉल और लगे हुए थे, एक उसका था। तो उसकी वाइफ ने जो किताबें बेची और उसने जो बेची, टोटल मिला के 35,000 की किताबें उस दिन पिछले साल बुद्ध जयंती में बेची। और जो किताबें हैं, बड़ी से बड़ी किताब जो है वो बाबा साहब की जो जीवनी है लाहौरीराम बाली ने लिखी है, वही सबसे बड़ी पंजाबी में किताब है। तो जरा अंदाज़ा लगाइए कि 35,000 की अगर एक स्टॉल से ही किताबें बिकी हैं, जो बाकी 7 से और 3 से वहाँ कितनी की बिकी हैं वो मुझे नहीं पता। तो इसका मतलब अगर पंजाबियों के दिमाग में पढ़ने का शौक जाग रहा है तो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छी साइन है। और दूसरी स्टेटों की तरह हम जैसे पंजाबी माने जाते हैं कि लड़ने मारने के लिए नहीं, इंटेलेक्चुअली हम भी बाबा साहब के मिशन में हिस्सा लेते हैं।
Now I would like to invite Madam Santosh Das, and she is a president of Fabo. She will speak about Baba Saheb Ambedkar's mission in UK.
Jayanti, thank you. You've done a great job with inviting people and setting this up. It's always a pleasure to speak here and see lots of friends every year. So this is what Baba Saheb does for us. He brings us all together to think about him and think about his great achievements. Now, I've been working, for the past few days preparing my speaking notes for the event tomorrow morning and the House of Lords event and also the India High Commission event. So I don't want to be repeating everything that I've written there, but it's congratulations to Mr. Bhartiji for getting that wonderful award by the King of Thailand. It's a huge achievement, for our people. And Mr. Barrow here from Mr. Barrow from the United States and Mr. Dingley from India, whom I'm meeting for the first time, and Venerable Bandiji for coming as always. I will end on that. Thank you very much.
संतोष दास जी, महदेव जी और सभी रिस्पेक्टेड लेडीज हैं, सभी रिस्पेक्टेड लोगों को हमारा सादर अभिवादन। मैं यहाँ पे आई हूँ और बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मैं भी इसका हिस्सा हूँ बाबा जी के जन्म दिवस पे, जो कि 125वां मना रहे हैं। मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि मैंने जीवन में सारे उतार चढ़ाव देखे। मेरे पिताजी IAS ऑफिसर थे और इंडस्ट्री डाल सकते हो और लोगों को जॉब भी दे सकते हो। खासकर हमारे लोगों जो गांव में हैं, जिनको एजुकेशन नहीं है, एक बच्चे को भी हमने पढ़ा दिया तो उस बच्चे ने फिर दूसरे को भी पढ़ाया। तो हमारा जो मिशन है, बाबा जी जो इक्वलिटी है, हम लोग को इतना ज़्यादा टॉर्चर किया गया है जिसकी कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते हैं हम लोग। तो मेरे को कभी कभी दुख लगता है कि ऐसा बहुत कुछ अब खत्म हो रहा है, लेकिन अभी भी काफ़ी बाकी है। जैसे आपने देखा होगा रोहित वेंकुला का। अब मैं बस बंद करूंगी, आप लोग का नमस्कार जी।
मैं प्रकाश जी अम्बेडकर जो बाबा साहब के ग्रैंडसन हैं, उनके साथ काम करता हूँ मैं। उनकी जो पार्टी है उनका सेक्रेटरी हूँ। तो बाबा साहब ने हमको पढ़ना लिखना सिखाया, हमको जो यहाँ पे आके यहाँ पे पढ़ के उन्होंने संविधान लिखा है, तो वो उसके ऊपर मैं आज आपको एक कविता सुनाने जा रहा हूँ। मैं ब्लाइंड फाइटर्स इंडिया करके एक एनजीओ है, उसका मैं फाउंडर चेयरमैन हूँ, जो कि परिणाम दिया। अर्थशास्त्र को पढ़कर तुमने दुनिया को नया परिणाम दिया, हर श्रमिक के श्रम को तुमने समान न्याय सम्मान दिया। बेजुबा को बोलना सिखाया, मुर्दों को भी चलना सिखाया। बेजुबा को बोलना सिखाया, मुर्दों को भी चलना सिखाया। शर्माए भगवान भी तुमसे, अनमोल तेरा काम। सलाम संविधान लिखने वाले भीम जी, लाख सलाम। पैर की जूती कहकर सबने धिक्कारा था नारी को। मैडम आपके लिए। पैर की जूती कहकर सबने धिक्कारा था नारी को, मर्दों की सेवा के
आज पहुंच गए। Being a working day, I thought a lot of will not be able to come. Anyway, मैं अब हिंदी में बोलूं कि गुजराती में बोलूं कि मराठी में बोलूं या अपनी देश की भाषा हिंदी में बोलूं? ओके, फिर हिंदी में बोलूंगा, लेकिन बीच में कुछ इंग्लिश भी हो जाएगी तो मुझे माफ कर देना। मैं आज यहाँ पर रिपीट नहीं करूँगा जो बाकी भाइयों बहनों ने कहा है। आज मैं एक अपनी अपील कर रहा हूँ आपसे कि अगर आज इंडिया बड़ी प्रोग्रेस कर गया है, वो रीज़न उसका है एजुकेशन। आज सुबह कोई बोल रहा था कि प्लीज़, ये मेरी विनती है आप लोगों से सबसे कि इस महान नेता के रास्ते पे आप चले और अपनी ज़िंदगी का कुछ हिस्सा अपनी चैरिटीज़ में डिवोट करें, एजुकेशन एंड मेडिसिन। ये रास्ता आप फॉलो करें प्लीज़। एंड थैंक यू फॉर लिसनिंग। थैंक यू।
थोड़ा हिंदी में प्रॉब्लम है तो टूटा फूटा बोलूंगा तो उसको समझ लेना। तो आपको मालूम ही है, आज भीमराव डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर जी जो सूरमे और योद्धे थे, उनका प्रकाश उत्सव है, जन्मदिन नहीं है। जन्मदिन तो आप लोगों का होता है जो मेरे जैसे होते हैं, उनका प्रकाश हुआ है। जैसे ज्योतिराव फुले जी है, साहब कांशीराम जी है, जिन लोगों ने बीएसपी बनाया, तो आने वाले समय में बहुत जल्द बीएसपी जो है पूरे इंडिया लेवल पे राज करेगी, वो आपका साथ चाहिए। तो
कर रहे हैं और इसकी सभी को आपको बधाई। और सबसे बड़ी बधाई तो उस वक्त होगी कि जब हम उनका जो मैसेज है हमारे समाज के लिए कि हम सभी एकत्र होकर और एक ऐसा भारत देश तैयार करें कि जहां सभी को इक्वल राइट और सभी को अच्छा खाने पीने के लिए मिले और एक अच्छे इंसान वाली जिंदगी जीने के लिए मिले। जैसे कि हम आजकल
डेंटल सर्जन प्रोफेसर आहे डेंटल कॉलेजला आणि खूप गर्व आहे बुद्धिस्ट असलेला पूर्वाश्रमीचा महार असलेला आणि आता सोफिस्टिकेटेड याच्या बरोबर वावरत असून या उत्सवानिमित्त सर्वांना अभिनंदन। आपण सर्वांनी हा उत्सव साजरा करतो त्यामुळे एकत्रित संघटित ही विचारधारा पुढे नेऊन आणि सर्वांना शिक्षणासाठी प्रोत्साहन करा, सगळ्यांना सपोर्ट करा। धन्यवाद। जय भीम, जय भारत।
A little bit inspired, you know, for बाबा जी को तो अब सभी जानते हैं, आज तक समझो नहीं, उन्होंने जो किया है वो तो भूल नहीं सकते जी हमारे, क्योंकि मैं तो पढ़े लिखे इंडिया में हूँ, तो इंडिया से हमें पता ही है, एवरीबॉडी नोज व्हाट इज द सिचुएशन, सो दिस विल बी द बेस्ट थिंग फॉर एवरीबॉडी।
भगवान गौतम बुद्ध, परम पूज्य डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर यांना साष्टांग दंडवत करून दोन शब्द बोलायचा प्रयत्न करणार. Then we can support that. And with that word, thank you very much.
to invite.
तीसरा प्रश्न हो गया दोनों एक साइड Madam Chairman, Federation of Ambedkar Activities Organization, भाइयों और बहनों, डॉक्टर लक्ष्मी नारायण बेरवा एक ऐसी हस्ती है कि वो किसी से डरते नहीं। यूनाइटेड नेशन में जाके हमारे एंजॉय कर रहे थे, रात के दिन के लिए भी मुझे बहुत जल्दी आना था, तो बहुत अच्छा है। जिंगले साहब भी है, वो भाई जैसे खत्म हो गए उसके बाद में
आदरणीय गौतम जी, मैडम दास, जिंगले साहब, बंते जी, बिरदी जी और गेस्ट भाइयों तथा बहनों, ये मेरे लिए बहुत बड़े सौभाग्य की बात है कि मैं आज बाबा साहब के बारे में कुछ कहूँगा। मेरे से पहले सभी ने कुछ कह दिया है, पर जो भी बचा है मैं उसको अपने व्यू से कहूँगा। कमिंग फ्रॉम ए रेलरोड फैमिली, रेलवे में my grandfather, my father, they were railroad people, entire family, mother side, father side. So we don't have much.
Namo Buddhaya Jai Bhim. At the start of the day, cheer up your mind to be positive and energetic. Lift your heart with good loving thoughts for the rest of the day. In the evening, reflect on your day's actions. Rejoice over your good actions. Plus noble Sangha who limited themselves through diligently. Namo Buddhaya Jai Bhim.
सामाजिक क्रांति के प्रणेता क्रांतिवादी ज्योतिबा फुले, स्त्री शिक्षा की जनक सावित्रीबाई फुले, जिन्होंने बाबा साहब को यहाँ भेजा, वो गायकवाड़, महाराजा गायकवाड़ जी, महाराजा राजर्षि शाहू महाराज, इन महानुभावों को सर्वप्रथम मेरा विनम्र अभिवादन। और भारतीय अछूतों में अछूतों के उत्पीड़न के लिए, उनके उत्थान के लिए और पूरे मानव जाति के उत्थान के लिए तैयार है। और ये जो लंदन में ये जो बाबा साहब का कारवां बाबा साहब की मूवमेंट चला रहे हैं, उन सभी को मैं मेरी तरफ से हार्दिक बधाइयाँ देता हूँ और बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की 125वीं जयंती दिन पर और ये सबको बधाई देते हुए मैं मेरे भाषण को समाप्त करता हूँ।
But finally in India they have officially nominated Baba Sahib as the greatest Indian, well they've said since 1947, caste system, caste. So caste is an evil system being created by the Brahmins. So the only way to get rid of caste, that we need to adopt a respectable religion. So we should leave the caste to the Brahmins and the Hindus. They can keep their caste. But we need to adopt a respected religion, and the religion Baba Sahib recommended after studying all the religions of the world, all the main religions. And Baba Sahib, obviously, as most people know, recommended that Buddhism is the religion that we should be following. So I will not say anything else, and I believe there is some food available after the cake cutting ceremony. So
ये मेल वापस लेके जा रही हूँ कल।
मैं सभी लेडीज को रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि वो आगे आके केक कट कर दीजिए।
तो सभी गेस्ट
और सभी गेस्ट
खाने के लिए आदमी आ गए, केक काटने के लिए लेडीज।
Attention please. We have arranged food for us tonight. So thanks for his kindness and love towards us. Thank you, sir.
माझा जन्म दापोलीला झाले, बाबासाहेब दीक्षा घ्यायला आले तेव्हा मी 2 वर्षाची होती।
आप आइए आगे लेडीज सभी लेडीज आप
सभी लोग हाथ जोड़ेंगे ना, थोड़ी ब्लेसिंग कर लेते हैं। Chiyam to bodhiyamule sakyanannadivadano evang tuyang jayo hotu jaya sujaya.
She's gone. She's gone? Okay. Should we cut the cake? We're cutting the cake? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Who should I feed? Banti first.
Okay, yes. I will start then. Baba Sahib 125th, yes. Is there any plate? Kuch nahi? Yeah, bring some plate, please.
जय भीम बोलो, लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। भीम बोलो,
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि.
What we do, actually the Bhim Smriti, Bhim Smaran, but the youngsters that again they got delay, but in substitute of there, the Buddhist prayer, how we do all over the world the Buddhist prayer, the little young girl will do the recitation of the how we do the Buddhist prayer.
Namo Buddhaya Jai Bhim. At the start of the day, cheer up your mind to be positive and energetic. Lift your heart with good loving thoughts for the rest of the day. In the evening, reflect on your day's actions. Rejoice over your good actions, but learn from your mistakes by not repeating them. Impress upon your mind to be stronger, wiser, and happier. Invite the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha into your life for guidance and protection. Take the Buddha, the ideal of love, compassion, wisdom, and purity as your spiritual ideal in your thoughts and action. Follow the Dhamma every day and in every way to fulfill your aspiration. Follow the example of noble Sangha who limited themselves through the lead and click. Namo Buddhaya Jai
How beautifully she has captured the sentiments of the father of the Constitution of India: wisdom, compassion, liberty, equality. This is what we are celebrating today. I now request the Acting High Commissioner Dr. Paul to say a few words.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, let's hold it. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Mayor of Camden, leaders and members of the Federation of Ambedkarite and Buddhist Associations of the United Kingdom, leaders and members of Guru Ravidas Sabha Southall, dear friends. On this important occasion of the 125th birth anniversary of Baba Sahib Dr. Bhim Ambedkar, it is my unique and very special honor and privilege to welcome you all today to number 10 King Henry's Road in London. Number 10 King Henry Road, London is not just a prestigious address in London, but it's an iconic location. It holds a very special place in the life and legacy of Dr. Ambedkar, and for that reason, it holds a very special place in the hearts and minds of millions of people around the world. It was here that Dr. Ambedkar lived while he pursued higher studies in economics and law at the London School of Economics and Gray's Inn. We are very, very happy that the government of Maharashtra, we have a representative from the government of Maharashtra here, that they acquired this historic property last year. Prime Minister, during his visit to London in November last year, he formally inaugurated it and dedicated it as Dr. Ambedkar Memorial for the cause of social justice. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra and the Minister of Social Justice, Government of Maharashtra, they traveled to London to participate in that historic ceremony. Today it's an important day also because it's for the first time ever that we have gathered together here to observe Dr. Ambedkar Jayanti. We have gathered together here to remember and pay respects to Dr. Ambedkar, a great son of India, the father, the architect of the Indian Constitution. We remember Dr. Ambedkar not just as the architect of the Indian Constitution, but also as a great intellectual, a great jurist, an economist, politician, human rights champion, and a great and effective social reformer. We also remember him for his formidable courage, his great hope and tenacity as he struggled all his life for equality, social justice, and human dignity. In short, I would say we remember him as a great nation builder who made a huge difference to the Indian society. Our Prime Minister very recently, he described Dr. Ambedkar as Vishwa Manav. Vishwa Manav is an expression in Hindi, and it means that Dr. Ambedkar belongs not only to India or just a particular community, but to the entire world. And it is therefore not surprising that his name, Dr. Ambedkar's name, is held in everlasting remembrance by all over the world who believe in Dr. Ambedkar and his thought. And I think the best way to pay respects to Dr. Ambedkar and to honor him is to try to live by his ideals, walk in his footsteps on the road to nation building. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such inspiring words. The father of the Constitution said, the democracy is essentially an attitude of respect and reverence towards our fellow men. And this is what we need to work for, as the acting High Commissioner just said. I now invite the Mayor of Camden to say a few words, please. Please welcome the Mayor.
Mayor of Camden.
Hello, good morning everyone. Thank you for inviting me along today to pay tribute to Dr. Ambedkar, popularly known as Bab Saheb, and I hope I'm pronouncing things right, so forgive me if I don't. And this special man was born 125 years ago today, on the 14th of April, 1891. Dr. Ambedkar was an Indian jurist, economist and politician and social reformer who inspired the Dalit Buddhist movement, and he campaigned against social discrimination against untouchables, Dalits, while also supporting the rights of women and labour. He was independent India's first law minister and principal architect of the Constitution of India. I'm sorry if I'm repeating a little bit, but I did do my homework, so I feel that I have to say it. So, Dr. Ambedkar's life is an example to others. He had shown how men born in humble surroundings could rise up in life. By sheer hard work, he often walked from his home here to London School of Economics and Gray's Inn every day because he did not have money to pay for public transport. Such an inspiration. Yeah, a great guy. Sincerely and steadfastness. 10 King Henry's Road is already regarded as a significant, culturally historic site. And this was also recognised by English Heritage in 1991, which is just fantastic, because recognition is really, really important for special people. So, the museum in London will provide a national and international centre for people to visit and learn about Dr. Ambedkar's life, ideas, achievements and his work. This time I've got it right. I could do it. So whilst researching for today's event, I read numerous quotations which I found very interesting and thought-provoking, and I would like to share 2 of them with you today. Learn to live in this world with self-respect. You should always cherish some ambition of doing something in this world, but remember that the age of selfishness has ended. A new approach of set in. All things are now possible because of your being able to participate in politics and legislature of country. And then the second quote that I found was, unlike a drop of water which loses its identity, which joins the ocean, man does not lose his being in the society in which he lives. Man's life is independent. He is born not for development of the society alone, but for the development of himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. We also take this opportunity to thank you for all the assistance extended to us by the Camden Council while the government of Maharashtra was acquiring this property. Thank you very much for spending the time. I now invite Madam Santosh Das, President of Fabo, to say a few words. Madam.
Jai Bhim. Congratulations on this very historic day, the 125th birth anniversary of our Baba Sahib. It gives me great honor to be standing here today, 20 months nearly after the Federation of Ambedkarites and Buddhist organizations put forward a proposal to the government of Maharashtra that they should buy this house that had come on the market, and that they shouldn't let this opportunity go, because once a house like this is sold, it would be broken up into flats and we would never have the opportunity to turn a very historic place that was the making of our Baba Sahib in London for historical purposes, so that we could have it as a memorial to Dr. Ambedkar. Now, Deputy High Commissioner has said a lot that I would probably say, and so is the Mayor, but what I'd like to say is that what Dr. Ambedkar did here, by having access to the London School of Economics, he may have walked to it, at the British Library and Gray's Inn, and the wonderful landscape of Primrose Hill, is access to a lot of liberals thinking, a lot of philosophers, a lot of excellent economists, and a lot of social rights movements, for example, the William Morris and all of those things. And what he managed to do while he was here in the 2 years is build up the relationships that helped enable him to have a really effective role at the round table discussions when there were discussions about more control for India. So he went back to India, equipped an independent Acting High Commissioner, Dr. Paul G, for hosting this event, and I hope that every year we'll be able to have something similar. And congratulations again to everybody. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, thank you for summarizing as to how this house came to be acquired by the government of Maharashtra. Many people worked for it, some in front of the scene and many behind the scenes. I now invite Mr. Jog Rajakir, President of the Sri Guru Ravi Das Sabha to say a few words. Thank you.
Acting High Commission Dr. Paul, Minister of Coordination Rajanji, or representative of Maharashtra government, leaders and all the distinguished guests. First of all, would like to congratulate on birth anniversary of Dr. Vihara Ambedkar. सभी को बधाइयाँ। डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर आज इंडिया में ही नहीं, दुनिया में उन लीडरों में से गिने जाते हैं जिन्होंने अपने देश के लिए, अपने समाज के लिए और अपने वतन के लिए जिन्होंने कुछ किया है। कुछ ही नहीं किया, जो ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए, मानवता के लिए जो काम किया, लेडीज़ के लिए, और फादर ऑफ द नेशन जिन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया का जो दिया हमको, ये बहुत बड़ी देन है। सो मैं आज आप सभी को डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर के जन्मदिन पर आप सबको बधाई देते हुए आपसे क्षमा चाहता हूँ। सभी को बधाई, बहुत बहुत बधाई।
Thank you, Devaraji. We just about to conclude this historic day. As Acting High Commissioner said, this is the first ever commemoration after inauguration of this memorial by the Prime Minister of India. The one tribute that we could pay to such a Mahamanav or Vishwamanav, as Acting High Commissioner said, is to rededicate ourselves to follow his footsteps, to follow his ideals, to bring about the change that he aspired for. So I think this is the change we should try and bring into our minds, into our souls, into our society, into our beloved country, India. Thank you very much. We now conclude the program and move downstairs where we have some refreshments ready for you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. One more. Video bank, sir.
हमारा देखना वो पकड़ लेगा।
पीछे उसको पकड़
कैंडल ले लीजिए, कैंडल पकड़ लीजिए। कैंडल आगे लीजिए। भैया, डॉक्टर साहब, ये कैंडल जरा आगे लीजिए। ऐसे पोज कीजिए। बिटिया, ऐसे पोज। आगे देखिए, आगे देखिए। होल्ड इट।
उससे बचाना पेपर से एक साइड में हो जाना खड़े बस साइड में खड़े
तो एक दान नहीं कटनी एक मिनट जरा फोटो जा विमोचन करवाना है मम्मी जी
जय भीम बोलना चाहिए। बैठिए, खड़े रहिए, नहीं तो फिर आप प्लीज़ बाहर भी जा सकते हैं, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं। अगर आपको कुछ काम है, जल्दी जाना है। आज जो पूरा दिन है वो समर्पित है और काम करने का है। पहली बात तो ये कि ये रोजेट की पूरी बैग थी हमारी, वो कोई ना कोई उठा के ले गया है, वो सबसे बड़ा गलत है। अभी सेकंड कोर्स में आपको बताने जा रहा हूँ, गौर से सुनना। 19 डेज में, अंदर से आओ थोड़े बहुत, वो बाहर क्यों है, अंदर से आओ। इधर भी खाली जगह, इधर भी खाली जगह, गौर से सुनना, बहुत सीरियस बात करने वाला। 19 डेज में इंडिया में टूर करता था और 19 डेज के अंदर जगह जगह पर मैं गया, आदिवासी एरिया में भी गया, वहाँ भी जन्मदिन मनाया। और ये जो बाबा साहब का जो 125वां जन्मदिन मनाया जा रहा है पूरे विश्व के अंदर, उसके अंदर जो क्या हो रहा है कि जयंती को मनाना है, जय भीम बोलना है, लेकिन उसका फलश्रुति क्या, व्हाट इज एक्चुअली आउट है कि जो बैठ जाते हैं ना, वो नहीं है। रोजेट का मतलब है आपको काम करना है,
यानी रोजेट वाला कोई भी बैठता नहीं।
ये जो मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस है ना इतने सालों का, वो मैं बता रहा हूँ। तो अभी ये होमवर्क हम लोग कर रहे हैं और ये रोजेट की जो है 40 रोजेट जो थे ऐसे, और इधर बैग थी, वो कौन ले गया, उसको कहाँ न कहाँ से पकड़ के लाओ।
अभी जाने दो, वो अम्बेडकर के नाम से लेके गया है, उसका भला होने दो। हाँ, अभी उसको खुद को नहीं है पता क्यों लेके गया।
ये जो रोजेट है ना, एक रोजेट जो है ये कितने का बना है, बीच बीच में बात करो भाई। एक रोजेट जो है वो चैत्य भूमि से बना है, चैत्य भूमि से बना है और 200 रुपया हमने दिया है। गौर से सुनिए, इधर ये फेडरेशन का सिंबल है, इधर 125 लिखा हुआ है, पंचशील है, कलर है, उसका महत्व है, इम्पोर्टेंट है। आप ऐसे बहन क्यों बात करती है?
नहीं, मैंने बोला अभी छोड़ो, जाने तो लेके गया ना अभी। मैं आपको अगले साल 100 लाके दूंगी, बता
बात हो रही है जो लेकर गया उसकी जमीन क्या है।
सॉरी,
खुद को समझना चाहिए।
ले रहा था सामान,
ले रहा था, देखा आपके उसने, कोई बात नहीं, वीडियो तो बना
देखा किधर तो रहेगा इसका समय
वीडियो।
सर्च फॉर इट फर्स्ट, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बैग was it, if you tell what kind of bag it is, then people will search around. Is it a black leather?
Minda ji, what bag is that?
बेटा जी कैसी,
ऐसे कह रही है मैं
ये लो, ये भी बड़े डॉक्टर सर, फेलो ऑफ द रॉयल सोसाइटी, बड़े डॉक्टर। आप बोलो ना, पहले बोलो, कहाँ से मिला, कहाँ पड़ा था,
बैग मिल गया।
बाबा साहब की 125वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य के ऊपर एक स्पेशल एडिशन निकल रहा है ये, और इसका लॉन्चिंग हम बाबा साहब की जो वास्तु है इसमें कर रहे हैं, और ये हमारा एक सौभाग्य है कि हम यहाँ से कर रहे हैं। तो आज के तारीख में मैं निवेदन करता हूँ सर जी को,
डॉक्टर लक्ष्मी नारायण
जी को,
यूएस
से ये एडिशन का पब्लिकेशन करा।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अम्बेडकर जी। मेरे भाइयों तथा बहनों, गौतम जी, आई एम ऑनर्ड टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस ऑगस्ट बॉडी टुडे। आई एम रियली ऑनर्ड।
जमाना इतना बदल गया है कि मुंह के ऊपर जय भीम है और इधर खंजर लिए बैठे हैं। सो हमको समझना है कौन जो है रियल अम्बेडकरी है, कौन हमको झांसा देता है, और लिटरेचर पढ़ेंगे तो आपको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एनर्जी मिलेगी और आप इस मूवमेंट को आगे लेकर जाएंगे। तो जैसे गौतम जी ने कहा, हम तो चल रहे हैं, और एजुकेशन के बारे में हमारे मित्र आए हैं। बाबा साहब अगर एजुकेशन, पीपल एजुकेशन सोसाइटी नहीं बनाते तो आज हमारे लाखों भाई अवसर नहीं होते, कोई बैंक में नहीं होता, कोई इधर नहीं होता, कोई बिल्डिंग कितना है। देखो उस समय उनके पास खुद पैसे नहीं थे, लेकिन फिर भी जैसे कैसे उन्होंने लोन लिया, इधर लिया, औरंगाबाद में कॉलेज बनाए, बॉम्बे में बनाए। तो इस मूवमेंट को आगे ले जाने के लिए हमने भी पंजाब में बोधिसत्व अम्बेडकर एजुकेशन सोसाइटी के माध्यम से 2 स्कूल चला रहे हैं। एक पंजाब में है, सीनियर सेकेंडरी स्कूल 450 बच्चा उधर है, और एक जो हमने अपनी जो ब्रांच है वो वर्धा डिस्ट्रिक्ट महाराष्ट्र में, वहाँ पे स्कूल खोला है। तो इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल है। तो हम आखिरी दम तक बाबा साहब के मिशन के लिए ये सब करते रहेंगे, और आपको भी अपने ढंग से हमसे भी ज़्यादा करना है। इस उम्मीद से मैं आपका और ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लेना चाहता, तो जय भी बोलता हूँ।
अच्छा, अभी क्या है कि कुछ बोलना है? क्या
फोटो ठीक से नहीं आई
प्रकाशन
का, तो एक बार
फिर से ले लीजिए, कोई बात नहीं, कोई से ले लीजिए,
पूछ सकता है कि किसने क्या किया।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। अच्छा, और कोई किसी के मन में कोई आता है तो बोलो। हाँ बोलो, बहन बिटिया आप आई, बिटिया बोले तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है।
मेरा नाम दर्शना थोरात है। मैं बस 2 महीने से यहाँ हूँ, यूके में हूँ। मैं बिलोंग करती हूँ महाराष्ट्र से, पुणे से। और सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको बधाई देना चाहती हूँ 125वें बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर जी की जयंती की। तो बहुत मुबारकबाद आप सबको। जैसे मेरे एक भाई ने यहाँ उसका दुख प्रकट किया है, मैं भी अपना एक पॉइंट प्रकट करना चाहती हूँ सर। एज अ यूथ मुझे भी एक कोई पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन नहीं मिल पा रही है। देयर आर सो मेनी न्यूज़पेपर, हर एक न्यूज़पेपर का अपना अपना तरीका है बताने का। हर लोग कोई ये न्यूज़पेपर फॉलो कर रहा है, कोई वो न्यूज़पेपर, कोई चैनल है जो अलग से डायरेक्शन दे रहा है। तो एक पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन नहीं है किसी को। एक जो छत्र छाया कहते हैं, जैसे बाबा साहेब की थी, उनका जब कोई भी बात होती थी तो कोई टाल नहीं सकता था। आज हर कोई अलग डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है। पार्टीज हम देख रहे हैं तो रामदास अठौरी जी की अलग है, गवई जी की अलग है, प्रकाश अम्बेडकर जी की अलग है। हर किसी का डायरेक्शन चेंज है, हम किसे फॉलो करें? तो मेरी बस एक रिक्वेस्ट है, और या फिर मेरा एक दुख है कि एक कोई पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन हमें नहीं मिल पा रही है। तो कभी कभी कन्फ्यूजन हो जाता है कि क्या करें, कहाँ से शुरुआत करें। सो यही एक मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है। और थैंक यू सो मच, आपने मुझे यहाँ एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया ये बात करने के लिए, जो मैं हमेशा करना चाहती हूँ।
आपका ही घर है, ये आपका घर है।
मैं बहुत लकी हूँ कि मैं इस ओकेजन पे मैं यहाँ आ गई। मैं अपने आप को बहुत
आपको है मानना ही है, और ये हमारा ही घर है, हमारे घर में ही खड़े हैं।
साहब मैं 2 मिनट
आइए। ये जो बिटिया बोले उसके पे आप भी बोलिए। कैमरा मैन जो एक मिनट
मैंने बोल दिया, आप बोलिए। अरे नहीं, आप बोलिए। अच्छा ठीक है, मैं बोल देता हूँ। ठीक है, ओके। शायद ये बोलने में शर्माते हैं या बोलने का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, लेकिन पिछले बहुत सालों से गौतम जी ने बोल दिया, ये जो कैमरा है इसकी कीमत बहुत है। BBC वालों के पास भी ये नहीं है, और इस कैमरे से बहुत फिल्मों की शूटिंग भी हुई है, तो बहुत कीमती है। और हमेशा देखो, एक दिन पहले बताया और आ गए। कल भी हॉल में इन्होंने शूटिंग की, तो वो एक भी पैसा लिए बगैर। और जब गोल्डन जुबली थी दीक्षा की 2006 में, तो इस कैमरे को सूटकेस में रखने के लिए स्पेशल ख़रीदा। बम्बे में गए, वहाँ शूटिंग की। फिर भी ये औरंगाबाद में जनता अदोरा की शूटिंग की, नागपुर में शूटिंग की। फिर हमारे पंजाब में जो तक्षशिला महाबुद्ध विहार, उसका उद्घाटन हुआ, वहाँ तो की। और उसी दिन एक बहुत बड़ी हमारे शहर फगवाड़ा में दीक्षा हुई थी, वहाँ पर शूटिंग की। तो इसलिए मैं इनको यहाँ पर लाया हूँ कि जो लोग फिल्म देखेंगे, ये तो हमेशा पीछे खड़े रहते हैं, लोगों को पता चले कि इनकी कितनी बड़ी देन है। और जब एक दिन शादी की फिल्म बनाते हैं, मेरी ग्रैंड डॉटर की हो रही है, उतना तो मैंने उसकी मदर यानी मेरी बेटी के शादी पे पैसा खर्च नहीं किया था जितना वो वीडियो फिल्म बनाने के लिए दे रहे हैं। तो इनके हम बहुत धन्यवादी हैं। और एक दिन ये आज सुनकर बहुत खुशी हुई कि इन्होंने मर्सिडीज कार ली, जो मर्सिडीज कार बहुत लेकिन मैंने इनको स्ट्रेट बोल दिया कि हमें बैलगाड़ी पे बैठने की इजाज़त नहीं है। अगर आज आपके पास मर्सिडीज है तो वो सिर्फ एक वजह से है, वो बाबा साहब ने है। वरना हमने सुना है कि जिस धरती में हम पैदा हुए वहाँ 33 करोड़ देवी देवता हुए थे, एक ने भी हमें मर्सिडीज गाड़ी तो क्या बैलगाड़ी नहीं करने दी।
अभी ये भैया बोलने वाले हैं, बातें जी उसके बाद में आशीर्वाद देंगे और फिर हमारा जो बोलना है तो बोलने देंगे, नहीं तो
मेरे को
बातें।
एक ही बात बोलनी है कि हमारे सब समाज की
इधर देखिए, इधर आइए मैडम।
मुझे एक बात बोलनी है कि हमारे महाराष्ट्र की बहुत औरतें यहाँ पे हैं, लेकिन वो इधर आती नहीं है कभी। वो मंदिरों में जाती है, साईं बाबा के मंदिर में जाएंगे, ये मंदिर में, वो मंदिर में, पूछेंगे कौन सी जात है, जात भी छुपाते हैं। बस मेरे को इतना ही बताना है कि अपनी जात को छुपाओ नहीं, अपना आगे बढ़ाओ, यही मेरे को बोलना है बस। जय भीम।
अच्छा, अगर कोई किसी को नहीं बोलना है तो पंडित जी ब्लेसिंग जी। पंडित जी
जस्ट ब्लेसिंग।
Okay.
हाथ जोड़िए।
Again, I want to say, I'm really happy today and to see, especially today is a very, very historical day, 125th. I don't know when we will see again 150th. So most of us, maybe some of not, but it is historical and very important.
I will reach you.
I'm wishing all of you to see again on that, and we will make again special. I think I was listening all the talks from you. I really enjoyed it, but I liked the talk from the yourself you given, and I just wanted to little bit to say to you because somebody asked Buddha the same thing when he went to the village called Kalama, and villagers came to Buddha and they asked, you saying whatever you teaching Dhamma to us, this is the truth, this is wonderful, and you should follow it. But the other guys came, the other saintly people came, and they were saying the same thing. We are completely puzzled. Whose direction is fine? Whose Dhamma is true? Where to go? Whom to follow? And exactly this is what you were saying. And I thought it's good to mention before I start my blessing to you, the answer of the Buddha. You can find in any books. It's called Kalma Sutta. Nearly 7 things Buddha mentioned in those things, 7 to 9 things that we shouldn't follow because our scriptures say. We shouldn't follow something because our elders said. And even because Buddha said, you shouldn't follow. But why we should follow, this is what the Buddhism and Baba Sahib come in this context. They said we should think about it. It is true or not. We should testify it and then only accept it. So I think you are more clever. All of you are living in London, and definitely Baba Sahib said, educate. Buddha said the same thing. Buddha Sangha, we have to develop those kind of mind and education to understand what is going on around and to progress. So this is what the message I can say, and I think you should think, and definitely all of, Chakravarti ji, BD, and all sorts of members here, they've been working when we didn't born even. So, so this is what we should take what advantage they have. But definitely in the future, as a monk even, I'm looking forward for the young generation in UK, not only in UK but in India. And I'm trying to develop such a network in the future where all the youngsters, they will follow Baba Sahib, but also I want them to follow Dhamma, including the British born, all the youngsters. This is what my aim would be in the future. So all of you are welcome. You should develop something which can help all of our brothers and sisters. Thank you. So I will give some blessings. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sabitiyo vivajantu saparogo vinasatu mate bhavantu antarayo sukhi diga yuko bhava abhivadana silisa nicang buddha pacaino cataro dhamma vadanti ayuvanno sukham bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddha nubhavena sada soti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhamma nubhavena sada soti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba Mangalang rakhantu sab devata sab sangha nupavena sada soti bhavantu te.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Next time our plan is we are going to plant the Bodhi tree in the garden. We are going to bring it over from the Bodh Gaya, certified by the Ministry actually approval from the Vihara. सुनिए भाई सुनिए, Bodhi tree will be planted here, in the ground here, and the ground we want to renovate as well properly. And upstairs floor, English have already assigned that it will be done as well. The work has been already assigned. Which one?
Lord Horace.
Lord Horace, room number.
जय भीम बोलो, लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी।
Quickly how that seed planted by Ambedkar, how the idea that he might have appealed to the United Nations has grown into a global understanding of caste in the 21st century. So to begin and to review the UN architecture around human rights, the word caste does not appear in any international human rights treaty. It's not found either in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from 1948, although there was a suggestion that it should appear in the list of grounds, but it never did. However, in line with what Anna Purna was intimating in relation to Ambedkar's belief that if domestic remedies did not work, that you internationalise your question, that began to happen in relation to caste from about the 1980s, where various organisations approached the United Nations about the issue of caste. A pivotal moment occurred in 1996 when the issue of caste was recognised by the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination as a form of descent-based discrimination. And that word descent, D-E-S-E-N-T, has since become a movement within the United Nations that includes, but is not limited to, caste. Descent-based discrimination is now a global question, and the reason the word descent was chosen is because, as I noted, the word caste is not in the treaty itself, so caste is considered a form of descent-based discrimination. And while caste within the UN initially was understood as related to India, caste today under the United Nations, caste as a part of descent-based discrimination is considered a global issue. Now, Ambedkar anticipated the idea of caste as a global question, particularly through what he considered the spreading of caste discrimination via the diaspora, but the United Nations understanding is not confined to that. It looks at a range of countries and how they experience practices, caste-like practices. It looks, for example, it's created standards, the UN's created standards through what's known as General Recommendation 29, which provides a UN understanding of descent-based discrimination, which includes caste in India, but also a range of other countries as well. It began by looking at other South Asian countries such as Bangladesh, Pakistan, and then extended to West Africa, Senegal, Mali, Mauritania. It also looked at Japan and Yemen, groups like the Buraku, groups like the Al-Aqdam, who experience practices that are in relation to purity and pollution, or untouchability, or other similar problems. The global nature of descent-based discrimination was emphasised most recently where the UN committee examined Suriname in South America in relation to descent-based discrimination. So today we have emerging a global understanding of caste and descent at the United Nations level that has its origins in Ambedkar's understanding of caste, Ambedkar's legalising, if you like, of the caste question. So what Ambedkar did in relation to the legalisation of caste via the Indian constitution then was propelled through the legalisation of caste at the international level in the 1990s, and we now have a legal understanding at the international level of caste and descent, which includes a range of countries throughout the world. Most recently in 2016, you have the United Nations drafting a guidance note from the UN Secretary General to all of the country missions, all of the heads of country missions throughout the UN, asking that they investigate the instances of descent-based discrimination occurring in their territory. So at the most recent meetings at the UN, you have representative of the UN country team of Mauritania sitting there with Dalit NGOs discussing practices that are caste or caste-like or analogous systems as they are. So the UN is evolving its definitions, evolving its understanding, and treating the idea of caste and descent as a global issue. I will, I think, probably aware of time, so I will conclude. Just, I think, to go back again, that Ambedkar never did. He drafted a report that he thought he would submit to the United Nations, but he never did submit it. And I think that's interesting to reflect on why. So Ambedkar believed in the domestic provisions that he was leading. He believed in the Indian Constitution as providing remedies, but he also believed in the international system. If domestic remedies don't work, or if they are inadequate, that you can approach the international system, as it were. And that is ultimately what has occurred. I think that he has pioneered a legalistic approach to caste, and I believe that this is reflected and is impacting on a range of groups in India, in South Asia, in West Africa and beyond today, to an international or global understanding of the nature of caste and descent that is really only beginning to be understood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. Can I just warmly welcome those people who've come in a bit late, who got caught up in the security arrangements. I'm afraid they are much tighter now than they used to be, and it does take longer. But you are very welcome indeed. Very good to have you here. As I said at the beginning, we have people here from India and America. And I hope you can make yourself as comfortable as you can, although, as you can see, this event, as popular as ever, we've run out of seating. I'll ask people, you people have been very good, to be as quiet as possible, because this is such a full room with so many people in it. And I'll ask the speakers to make sure that they pitch up their voices, as the first two have already done. The speakers will need to pitch up their voices, and the rest of us will be able, because a lot of important things are being said. Just to make sure people know that Santosh Das is now here. She was going to tell you about the schedule for the day, but as we think we've already got going, I think we'll run. We're just more or less on time now. Do you want to say something?
A few words.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming. Huge apologies for being late. I was doing some filming with the BBC about Dr. Ambedkar, which is a huge achievement in itself. It's great to see so many of you here, and I know that we've got people like Dr. Barowa here from the US and other people from India and so on. So welcome to all of you. This is a huge day for all of us because we're celebrating the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. Ambedkar. I was saying this morning and last night that 500 years on, 1,000 years on, somebody like Dr. Ambedkar will be remembered because he is in the hearts and minds of people like us who turn out fourfold for events like this. So it's incredibly important. So I won't go into anything too much more about it, other than that we had a little reception at the house, 10 King Henry's Road, where Dr. Ambedkar lived for 2 years, where he formulated a lot of this independent thinking. And that's a huge achievement because it was a Federation of Ambedkarites and Buddhist Organizations UK's initiative that the house be bought and turned into a memorial. And we're seeing that come to fruition, and it's so wonderful and such an honor to be there this morning. Very, very quickly, Dr. Verinder Paul, who is actually the acting High Commissioner, has said to me that he's arriving, so I think we might need to adjust.
We'll adjust when he comes. If you could keep an eye open for him.
I will do as soon as. But sorry for being late. I
No,
never
that's
do this.
all right. No, I mean, people may be late, but you're more than welcome. Very glad, particularly, to have Baroness Flather here from the House of Lords, who's been a vital activist in this cause. And I began the meeting, just to tell people, we began with a minute's silence in memory of Eric Avebury, Lord Avebury, who was the most vigorous campaigner against all forms of discrimination, particularly caste-based discrimination, in the House of Lords, and before that in the House of Commons. Lord Avebury was himself a Buddhist, and we miss him very, very dearly. So thank you very much, Annapurna and David. Very valuable what you had to say. I hope we'll have a record of that, will you, so that everybody can actually read it if they didn't have a chance to hear it because they got held up. I'd now like to ask Jan Lersch who's Reader in Agrarian and Labour Studies at the School of Oriental and African Studies, to speak, and he's going to speak on caste discrimination, inequality and poverty in India today. So, Jen.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today to celebrate Dr. Ambedkar's 125th birthday. Dr. Ambedkar's fight against caste discrimination and the oppression of Dalits was also a fight against inequality and poverty. But as we know, in spite of this, for the quarter of the Indian population who are Dalits and Adivasis, caste discrimination and poverty are still widespread. In the last 2 decades, India has achieved very high levels of economic growth. Last year it even outperformed China. But India's remarkable growth has not been pro-poor. The fall in poverty is much less than the growth of the economy. By 2010, more than 2/3 of the population was still poor and vulnerable. And although people were, on the whole, slightly better off than at the turn of the century, they were even more unequal than before. Caste and discrimination mark the contours of poverty in India. This is recognized even by the UN. The UN Special Rapporteur on minority rights to the UN's Human Rights Council stated earlier this year, discrimination on the basis of caste is a major cause of poverty, inequality, and social exclusion. Indian census data show that caste and religion are more important signifiers of poverty than, say, region or gender. Everyone this course of action would have taken place had he not been a Dalit. His suicide sparked outrage and protest across India and from international academics. Sources that scores of protesting Hyderabad University students and 2 faculty members have been arrested, and Rohit's case had been raised at this year's session at the UA Human Rights Council. However, no action has been taken. It is a pleasure to celebrate Dr. Ambedkar's 125th birthday today. But there's a long way to go before caste discrimination and poverty of Dalits and Adivasis in India can be left on the ash heap of history.
Thank you very much indeed. There will be an opportunity towards the end to ask the speakers questions. So if you feel you want to ask something, store it up in your mind, because you will have an opportunity later on. It's now my pleasure to introduce Merle. Are you here? Yeah, there you are. Yeah, sorry, we hadn't met before, I don't think so. And I hope I pronounce your name, but Shan Mugavalan. No?
Perfect.
Oh, good, good. It really daunted me. But Dr. Shanmugavalan is going to speak on Dr. Ambedkar and his relevance in modern times. He is a researcher in the School of Oriental African Studies at the University of London.
I'm humbled and equally nervous. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, speak up as well as you
Why
can.
don't you stand up? Then it'll be easier.
No. I think I can pitch up.
Sure.
Thank you. I think speakers before me have set the context in many ways, and I also hugely covered many terrains of what Ambedkar, his significance and what is achieved and what needs to be done. So to do justice to my topic, and then also given the time that I have, I'd like to start, if that's okay, from 1990, which was actually the time when Ambedkar's 100th anniversary was celebrated. India witnessed several changes since 1900. I mean, the way that I plot it, obviously Ambedkar's 100th centenary anniversary, and then also marched on to globalization and liberalization process. And then it also actually marked the time of opening up of in communication media landscape as well. And all this actually have played a crucial role in mobilizing Dalits' voice and participation, and in their voices getting out to the people who need to hear. And also in political landscape around 1990s, it's worth noting that Kanshiram's Bahudara Samaj Party was set up 1988, and then in South India, we have Vidudale Chiritegala, Liberation Panther was set up in Tamil Nadu as counter to Brahmanism, caste domination and social inequalities that hinder human lives. We just have to, take these occasions with a pinch of salt. And yes, but we have a lot of work to do. And the last point is that I think Ambedkar has a lot to offer to neighboring countries in South Asia. And I'm not an expert on what's happening in neighboring countries in South Asia in terms of how Ambedkar's ideas and thoughts are being used to annihilate caste. But I think, at least I know, having spent some time in Bangladesh, there is this community called Metho. So it's similar to manual scavenging community in India, and who have been completely sidelined. And there is an execution of caste practices by silence in Bangladesh. So I've been told that Methos are allowed to brew their own alcohol because they need that. But in Bangladesh, you can't brew and consume alcohol. And that's because they've been given the exemption because they're supposed to do the job. So I think here lies exciting and important opportunities for people who work in other parts of South Asian countries and people who are from India should actually work together to spread Ambedkar's thought so that at some point at some day caste discrimination will come to end. Not the discrimination, we'll be able to annihilate caste. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, certainly that is a very challenging address to hear. We're delighted to have with us this afternoon the acting Indian High Commissioner in London, Dr. Virender Paul. Welcome, Dr. Paul, and we'd be very glad if you'd like to address us for a few minutes.
Thank you.
I don't think the mics are on, so you just have to project.
Okay. No, I wish I had as stereophonic a voice as my predecessor had. No, but
seriously, then they will.
To begin with, thank you, Lord Harris, Baroness Feather, Santosh Dashi, and friends. I see in the program that I was scheduled to speak at 3:10. I'm sorry for being late. I was held up at some other event related to Dr. Ambedkar 125th birth anniversary. And looking at the program, I see that a lot has been covered. And listening to the last intervention, I think issues like caste and the political dimension of Dr. Ambedkar's life and how different people look at it, how different people analyze the life and legacy of Dr. Ambedkar. It has all been largely covered. Very briefly, what I would like to say is how the Indian High Commission is celebrating this important occasion. I don't know if Santosh Darshi mentioned to you, we started the day today at number 10 King Henry's Road, an address in London, a prestigious address in London, an iconic location where Dr. Ambedkar lived when he pursued higher studies in economics and law at the London School of Economics and Gray's Inn. And there we recalled how we would remember and how we have remembered Dr. Ambedkar. We remember Dr. Ambedkar as a great son of India, the architect of Indian Constitution, and we remember Dr. Ambedkar not just as the architect of Indian Constitution or as many commentators say, a Dalit leader, but also a great intellectual, a jurist, a well-known and accomplished economist, a politician, a social reformer, and a great champion of human rights. We also remember Dr. Ambedkar as the one for his formidable courage, tenacity, and great hope, and with which he struggled against all odds for equality, social justice, and human dignity. And as I mentioned, earlier in the day, in short, we regard Dr. Ambedkar as a great nation builder who made a big difference to the Indian life and the Indian society. From there, I would like to inform you, I visited the London School of Economics. There is a bust of Dr. Ambedkar there, and I'm very happy to share with you that the director of LSE joined me in honoring Dr. Ambedkar. We visited the bust, and we had a very, very short, very solemn ceremony to pay our respects to the great leader. Thereafter, I visited Gray's Inn, and this is an occasion to join hands to celebrate his life and rejoice in his accomplishments. And on this occasion, I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner. Very glad to have you with us. We are now going to... Yes.
Dr. Paul has to leave straight away, so
yes.
That's okay.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. We know you're a busy man.
Thank you.
We now come to our next speaker, Mr. Ravi Kumar, who's General Secretary of the Anti-Caste Discrimination Alliance, who's going to speak on Dr. Ambedkar's impact on caste discrimination law in the UK.
Thank you, Lord Harris. Thank you, Santosh and Baroness Flathers. Welcome, friends, colleagues. I'll talk a bit about my perspective on why I got involved in the campaign as well, and Dr. Ambedkar was a leading figure for me, myself, and the impact it's going to be having on the legislation. I mean, as a student going to university, I came across caste discrimination as well. There's all around me. Societies in the UK are based around caste as well, and it's a topic there, people looking for partners as well. And I came across the plight of the Dalits, and it was shocking. It was really shocking to learn about what hundreds of millions of people in India, my community, my heritage, were going through. And I was determined to do something about it. But at the same time, I also came across Dr. Ambedkar and about his works, which stunned me really to learn about one individual who had written so many books, who had done so much for Dalits, who had campaigned and lobbied for our human rights as well. So that was one of the reasons why it inspired me to get active, and I met people like Santosh Das, and we went and formulated Caste Watch UK, which was a charity to tackle caste discrimination in the UK, and later on we created the Anti-Caste Discrimination Alliance, which I'm the General Secretary. And it was one of the driving forces why we did the piece of research in the UK called Caste System Hidden Apartheid. And some of the testimonials that we received from people who were filling in their examples of caste discrimination, it was awful, and it sounds similar to what Jens was talking about earlier, about people going to work and having to hide their background and not having any dignity because their self-esteem was constantly being eroded. So Dr. Ambedkar is a leading figure for himself, and we believe is a role model for all communities, not just Dalits, but for all communities. As an Indian, there's one person, growing up in India at that time, which was practically fascist, and it was difficult for Dalits to do anything, to raise to the standard that he did, to get the education that he did, to write the books that he did, to take on so many campaigns that he did. And there's a list of them here at the Roundtable Conference. Here today, it's great to see you all. I think we have to follow in the message of Dr. Ambedkar. We have to unite, come together, create this common platform, and collaborate together to lead forward the challenge that we want legislation here in the UK. We're going to demand government that they do deliver it as well. And we're going to use Dr. Ambedkar as one of our role models and our kind of political heritage as a shining beacon to help us do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ravi. It's good to hear. And I'm glad to say we've got Baroness Flather here, who's been a very doughty campaigner for the cause, and we'd like you to say a few words, if you would.
I'm really asked to say a few words because I have been trying to revive the whole issue of caste discrimination becoming part of the law. And I have found the executive summaries of the 2 reports which were done for the Human Rights Commission, the Human Rights and Equality Commission. And the chairman, who is either retired or retiring, Honor O'Neill, Baroness O'Neill, she said to me, they were not clear, that's why they did nothing. Well, I can assure you, both of those executive summaries come out quite clearly that it can be done. I mean, the point is, whether you do it or don't do it is a different point. But it can be done. It's possible to fit it in to the British system. And that's the key thing. It can be done, and they haven't done it. And you know why they haven't done it? Because the Hindu organizations have been frightening the government that they will withdraw their support, they'll withdraw their votes. And this is what the bottom line is. This is the bottom line in India. This is the bottom line here. And I think it's about time that we really made it clear to the government here that it's unimportant. If you keep giving in to every idea which is not tenable, then you're not running the country properly. So we have to start again, and Lord Harris knows, I've sent him the papers, the very good article in the Economist, and also I want to tell you that Lord Harris and I and Eric Avery were the three people who were always speaking, and we had, I personally had a lot of vilification from the Hindu organizations. They passed around a picture of me with some other people saying these are the we were the villains of the piece, which I'm very proud of. I would like to be I think this is the best thing I would like to be a villain about. So this is the thing. I once wrote to the Hindu Students' Union, Forum. I said, how many Dalit students have you got in the forum? They didn't reply. You see, this is the thing that bothers me. They say, oh no, we have everybody. We can take everybody. Why can't they do that? Why can't they tell us how many they have taken in and how they're treating them? We need to know these things, and we don't get to know them. So I have always been very anti-caste, partly because it's very bad for India, but it's very bad for human beings. It's just not right. It's wrong, let's put it that way, sitting in India, which is also very appalling. Two of the greatest people of India, the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and Dr. Ambedkar, were totally against caste system. And what has it done? Nothing.
Yes, I'm afraid it's all too true what you say. I think this might be the point, just before we move over to questions, if I just fill in a little bit of the background on...
I'm sorry, we have just a small item from Arun Kumar, and then we'll move on to questions.
Yes, and I'll come on to you. I just, after Baroness Flather has said that, I think might be a helpful point just to say, and after what Ravi has said, where we are on anti-caste discrimination in this country. As everybody knows, it was incorporated in the law. In effect, it will be the 2010 Equality Act. And it's quite understandable under normal circumstances there should be a 3 or 6 month consultation before it was enacted. But what has happened is that there has been a deliberate blocking of the process. It's not just stalling is too weak a word, I think, Ravi, that you use. There's been a deliberate blocking of the process, and so the government have even refused to publish some of the work which they have done. On that rather sad and somber note, I will now ask Arun Kumar, please, to say a few words.
Thank you, Lord Harris. You have heard different speakers on different subjects, but I'm touching entirely different, because Dr. Ambedkar stood for everybody, not just for Dalits, as usually he's branded as a leader of Dalits. Dr. Ambedkar was always for the empowerment of the masses, not just for the Dalits, for all the people. And he actually tried to understand the reasons behind their backwardness. What made them backward, that the Indian society was riddled with the false beliefs, rituals, customs, and traditions. And Dr. Ambedkar rightly diagnosed this disease and tried to remove it. And what he said, he advised the people, I quote, he said, freedom of mind is real freedom. A person whose mind is not free, though he may not be in chains, is a slave. Not a free man. One whose mind is not free, though he may not be in prison, is in prison to everybody. If we carry on the vision of Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar, I think that's the biggest tribute to Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar. Thank you.
Indeed, Aaron. We now have a bit of time for questions, and I will stress, if I may, these should be questions, short questions to the speakers, if you could please understand that we have a great deal of expertise here this afternoon, so we want to draw a little bit on that expertise. If I may, I will begin with the first question to Murli, if I may, who you told us that in your view, the Hindu social order, as you put it, was irreformable. What I had in my mind was a parallel with Christianity. Christianity grew up in a world where there was a very strict hierarchy, where women at the bottom, and of course a world of slavery. Now what we found in the New Testament is that those relationships were transformed at a personal level, so within the church there could be equality, but outside the social order remained. Now, as we know, it took 1700 years or whatever for I believe we have Dr. Lakshminarayan Baruda here from the United States. Is that right?
Thank you,
Yes. I think you have a question to ask.
Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome.
I have one just brief comment about how the U.S. is dealing about the caste system. And last year, the International Commission on Dalit Rights, we had an unbinding resolution in the Congress, and it was passed condemning the caste and its ill effect on the Indian subcontinent. And we are coming in touch with the State Department, and lately when we had our annual meeting of the International Dalit Commission, the State Department representative came and told us and assured us the caste system is on our #1 agenda, and they are going to take that issue with various governments wherever the caste system is practiced. So it's just an update on the caste issue itself.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to learn more about that. If
Yes,
I
sir.
could. I'd like to learn more.
Okay.
There's a lady there.
I have a question, very straight, simple question. What are the plans for the use of the Ambedkar House? Is there any possibility that it could be used as a place where research scholars could visit, or would it be used for professors or young people? There are PhD students here who find it so difficult to support themselves, particularly if they come from their background. So I want to know what is on the cards for the use of the Ambedkar House. There are two values of Dr. Ambedkar that I definitely want to underline today as a part of this question. One of them is, of course, democracy. The other is fraternity.
जय भीम बोलो, लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते।
Eminent scholar, shining legal luminary, unparalleled social reformer, mighty political leader, distinguished journalist, educationist par excellence, principal architect of the Constitution of the India. And we are talking of Dr. Bhim Ambedkar. We'll begin our program with the floral tributes by the acting High Commissioner and select guests. And we'll be inviting now may I invite the acting High Commissioner to please garland the bust of Dr. Ambedkar.
लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। जय भीम बोलो, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते।
Thank you, sir. The memory that we are commemorating today is universal. The message is also universal. And the kind of commitment with which we look upon the father of the Constitution of India is visible up here in the High Commission, with so many of you being present. And if few of you have not got the chairs, I do apologize, but we'll try and make them available soon. Thank you. We'll begin our program with the Buddhist prayer, which is offered by the group led.
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि संघं शरणं गच्छामि द्वितीयंपि
Thank you for all of you for this wonderful invocation. We have now a short poem dedicated to the memory of Dr. Ambedkar read by the students.
सकल विद्या विदर्यानं देवरूपं सुजीव निमल चक्षु कबीरदोषं गौरवर्णं सुखाय अभयचित्तं निवैकामं सुरधम्मं सुपेम वीरतसज्जं सुजतनेतं भीमरावं सरामि भीमरावं सरामि भीमरावं सरामि दिव्य प्रभरत्न तु साधु वरदान तु आद्य कुलभूषतु भीमराजा सकल विद्यापति ज्ञान सत्संगति शास्त्र शासनमति बुद्धि तेजा पंकज नरवरा रत्न सजन उद्धारा भगवंत आम साखरा भक्त काजा सौदार संगरी शस्त्र धरिता करी काफला अरुरी रौद्र रूपा मुक्ती पद कोणता जीर्ण स्मृती जाळीता उजाळीला अगतिका मार्ग साजा राष्ट्र घटनाकृती शोभते भारती महामानव बोलती सात सौन्या शरण बुद्धासमी शरण धम्मासमी शरण संघासमी भीम राजा भीम राजा भीम राजा.
We'll now begin the formal program. I have the privilege of requesting Acting High Commissioner Dr. Paul for his remarks. Please give it.
Good evening, everyone. Lord Navneet Dholakia, Lady Dholakia, Professor Mukulika Banerjee, the Director of the South Asia Center in the London School of Economics, Madam Santosh Das, the President of the Federation of the Ambedkarite and Buddhist organizations in the United Kingdom, Mr. Jogara Jahir, the president of the Sri Guru Ravidas Sabha in Southall, distinguished guests, honorable mayors. I'm so happy to see so many of you today, and dear friends. To begin with, what I would like to say is that on this very important occasion, on the 125th birth anniversary of Baba Saheb Dr. Bhim Ambedkar, it's a special honor and privilege for me to welcome each and every one of you to India House on this occasion. Every year we hold this event, but this year, it happens to be special. It happens to be special because it is the 125th year anniversary, and as you all know, this important day is being celebrated not only in India on a very large scale, but also all across the world. We have today the speakers, the chief guest, Dr. Lord Dholakia, he's the chief guest and the keynote speaker. We would look forward to hearing from him about the life and legacy of Dr. Ambedkar. We have Professor Kulika Banerjee, Santosh Dasi, and Jogara Jahirji also. But very briefly, if you allow me, I would like to brief you on what the High Commission did today to celebrate the 125th anniversary of birth anniversary of Dr. Ambedkar. We started the day today at number 10 King Henry's Road in London, and as I said there, number 10 King Henry's Road is not just a prestigious address in London, but it's an iconic location. It's something that holds a very special place in the life and legacy of Dr. Ambedkar, and for that reason, it holds a very, very special place in the hearts and minds of millions of people around the world. And it was for the first time that we held a public event commemorating Gandhi Jayanti, Dr. Ambedkar Jayanti, this year at number 10 King Henry's Road. As you know, this property, the house where Dr. Ambedkar lived while he pursued higher studies in economics and law in London School of Economics and Gray's Inn, he lived there. And it was for the first time ever that we used that venue, that historic place to observe Dr. Ambedkar Jayanti there. After that, we moved to the London School of Economics, where Dr. Ambedkar spent some time for his economics, and I'm very happy, thanks to Professor Banerjee and the president of the LSE, we had a very short but a very nice commemorative event there, and we paid respects at the bust of Dr. Ambedkar, and soon after that we moved to Gray's Inn, where Dr. Ambedkar was enrolled for the bar in 1916. So it happens to be the 100th anniversary of the enrollment of Dr. Ambedkar in Gray's Inn, and he was awarded the bar at law in 1923 by Gray's Inn, and there also, we are very fortunate that we had the good opportunity to meet the treasurer, the chief executive of Gray's Inn, the former treasurer, and also the president of the History Society of Gray's Inn, and we discussed with their entire team on how the High Commission and the Indian community in this country, how we could work together with Gray's Inn in building a close relationship to do things in the memory of Dr. Ambedkar, and going back to the first event that we had this morning at number 10 King Henry's Road. I think it was very important, and it was a very good occasion for all of us to get together to remember and pay respects to Dr. Ambedkar, whom we regard as a great son of India and the architect, the father of the Indian Constitution. And we remember him not just as the father of the Constitution, but also as a great intellectual of India, a great jurist, a great economist, politician, the champion of human rights, and a very effective and result-oriented social reformer. We also remembered him as someone who had great courage, formidable courage, tenacity, and great hope to struggle against all odds for equality, social justice, and human dignity. I would recall what I said earlier today at number 10 King Henry's Road, that our Prime Minister has recently described Dr. Ambedkar as Vishwa Manav. Vishwa Manav is an expression in Hindi, and it means that Dr. Ambedkar, Baba Sahab, was someone who did not...
Professor Mukulika Banerjee from London School of Economics to share some thoughts and memories of Dr. Ambedkar.
For having arranged this evening, to all you distinguished guests, friends, colleagues in the audience. This is indeed a very proud moment for the London School of Economics to be associated with a commemorative moment of Dr. Ambedkar's life and celebrating his 125th birth anniversary, because Ambedkar, without question, is probably one of the most illustrious alumni of the London School of Economics. The London School of Economics, as you know, was set up 120 years ago. And Dr. Ambedkar came as a student to LSE very early on in LSE's own lifetime. I've put up some pictures for you so you can follow, and some of the facts are there. I should say the facts are taken from a very well-written blog post that's been published, and I've provided the link at the end of my presentation, by the LSE archivist. We have some wonderful documents relating to Dr. Ambedkar, so anybody here, or please spread the word if you'd like to consult some of Dr. Ambedkar's writings, please do visit the LSE library, and we'll be delighted through the LSE South Asia Center to facilitate this. Now, as we heard, 2016 was an important year in Dr. Ambedkar's life. For us at LSE, it marks the 100th anniversary of his first visit to the London School of Economics in 1916. And it was only just 2 decades old as an institution, but it already had a reputation for having a wide range of social sciences on offer and being taught to a very high standard, and it had a very international student body. And this was clearly an attractive feature for somebody who was going to become such a global citizen, as Dr. Paul just talked about. Now, already, as you can see, in 1913-14, we already had 142 students from outside Great Britain studying at LSE. He did 2 degrees. What does social democracy mean? It means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life. These principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items. They form a union in the sense that to divorce one from the other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality, nor can liberty and equality be divorced from fraternity. Unquote. Thank you.
Many aspects of his life that we need to know and learn about. I now invite Lord Dolakia on the stage to give us a little more light on this wonderful human being. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me? Yes. His Excellency, the Deputy High Commissioner, Virendra Paul, His Worshipful Mayors, distinguished guests and guests who have arrived from Mumbai. May I, first of all, thank you for inviting me to speak. I feel humble and honored. I'm aware that I'm doing so in the presence of this very distinguished audience. I make my contribution by the man in Indian politics who I have admired most, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Friends, let me admit that seeing such a big crowd in front of me, I'm nervous. I'm not an academic or a researcher, but I love India and admire the personalities who have shaped our country in what it is today. A great nation that has now been the focus of the world's attention. There's another reason why I'm happy to do so. The Deputy High Commissioner, Dr. Virendra Paul, is a good friend, and when he orders me to speak, I always oblige. But let me make a further admission. I said to my wife Anne, sitting in the front here, would you in your wildest dream have ever imagined that I'll be invited by India House to give this particular talk? She looked very lovingly at me, with loving eyes, and said, my Lord, you do not even feature in my wildest dreams. So now back to the earth. To some of us, Baba Saheb has been a lesson in the history of India's struggle for freedom. To others, he has been a great scholar who helped shape India's constitution. His career, I don't bloody well think so.
I now have the privilege of requesting Madam Santosh Das, President of Fabo, to share her thoughts on this petition.
Jai Bhim, Your Excellency, the Deputy High Commissioner, Lord Delakier, Venerable Bunty, worshipful full mayors, distinguished guests and friends, congratulations on the 125th birth anniversary of our Baba Saheb, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Today, like previous years, we've had a succession of speakers talking about Dr. Ambedkar's wonderful life and his struggle and the works and his accomplishments. And I don't need to repeat those, and we've had a very good keynote address from Lord Delakier. This morning we celebrated, as Dr. Paul said, we had a first formal event at the Ambedkar House in Hampstead in North London. Now this house was held in extraordinary significance for the Ambedkarite and human rights movements. And that is why in September, when it came on the market, the Federation of Ambedkarites and Buddhist Organizations UK put forward a proposal to the government of Maharashtra. And that proposal was
to purchase the property with government funding and turn it into a working memorial to Dr. Ambedkar in London. And there were many delays and many obstacles in our way, and seemingly we were undaunted. We persevered. It's what Dr. Ambedkar, our Baba Sahib, would have expected. Persevere and change will come. And we don't depend on deities to remove obstacles for us. Now, nearly 20 months later, we had our first opportunity to pay homage to Baba Sahib in that very house. And the movement must extend its personal thanks and commitment and support of one man. And he is Mr. Badolaji, the Minister for Social Welfare in the government of Maharashtra. The Dr. Ambedkar House is within walking distance of the London School of Economics, Gray's Inn, the British Library, Parliament, and never forget Primrose Hill. And Primrose Hill granted him a panorama of London life, literally and figuratively speaking. And during his time in the house, he was exposed to, amongst other things, Western liberalism, history, and philosophy. In relative peace, the bookworm that he was read extensively, and his reading diet included the writings of such social and political thinkers as Voltaire, John Dewey, Lord Acton. I mean, Lord Acton was the one who wrote, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." And wage equality legislation approved by Parliament in April 2013, has been working behind the scenes. And they're scaremongering that the law, when implemented, will institutionalize caste. But at the same time, hereditary caste practices and the laws of Manu are part of textbooks on Hinduism in British schools. Nothing is done to remove those. Misinformation, sadly, rules. So this year, I'd like to end by saying that this is the 125th birth anniversary of our Baba Sahib. We must question and challenge injustices wherever they take place, and caste-based discrimination wherever that takes place, and remove it. And Dr. Ambedkar would expect nothing less from us. Jai Hind, thank you for listening.
Now request Mr. Yogaraj Ahir, President of the Shri Guru Ravidas Society, to say a few words. And he is free to talk the way he likes.
जय भीम, जय भारत। 14 अप्रैल का दिन भारत ਲਈ नहीं बल्कि दुनिया के लिए ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ दिन है जिस दिन ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ भारत के सपूत भारत रत्न डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी का जन्म होया। किस लिए जन्म होया? मनुखता लई, भाईचारे लई, इक्वैलिटी लई और कुछ संसार दे लई पखरापन करने लई प्रभावित भी हैं। और सानू आने वाले समय में, क्योंकि इंडिया भारत एक इहो जिहा मुल्क है जिस दे विच बहुत सारियां जातां पातां, बहुत सारियां स्टेट्स हैं, सानू सारियां गल्लां नूं भुल के एक इंडियन, एक भारती के तौर पर सानू सोच के इंडिया की तरक्की के लिए हिस्सा साडा जिहड़ा योगदान वो पाउणा चाहिए सानू। सो आए हुए सारे मेहमानों का धन्यवाद,
बहुत बाकी सारी गल्लां ते एक भी कैरेक्टर है कि बंदा अपनी भाषा, अपने तरीके, अपने सभ्याचार नूं जारी रखे। डॉक्टर साहब की कन्विक्शन हर पासे सी। मराठी दी ओहदे जिहड़े लेख ने लोकां नूं पता नहीं, असीं अंग्रेजी दी भी गल्लां करने आ। उन्होंने सारे पासे चौथे पासे डेवलपमेंट का नजरिया देखा, देखा अपने मुल्क लिए। And in between the time when his thesis was rejected in London School of Economics, somewhere in that period he wrote, "Men are mortal, so are ideas. An idea needs propagation as much as plant needs watering. Otherwise, both will wither and die." This is what Yogaraj Ahimji was saying. कि उस आइडिया को असी पानी ही ना देते रहिए, उन्होंने खाद देगी, उसकी देखभाल करिए, उन्होंने अगे ले जाइए। तो यह सोच मेरे ख्याल नाल सारे में जानी चाहिए है। तो उन असी अपना प्रोग्राम आगे करते हुए एक छोटी सी बच्ची है, सांची चक्रवर्ती, वो सानों एक डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी के एक पंच है।
Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat. Your Excellency, worshipful mayors, venerable Bhante, distinguished guests, my lord, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege and honour to address you on the 125th birth commemoration of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. The 14th of April is the Jayanti Day, the day of joy, the day when the great crusader and pathfinder for social justice, Babasaheb Ambedkar, was born. His teaching and mission enabled the oppressed masses of India to lead a life of equality and self-respect. On this great day, let us take refuge in his thoughts and guide ourselves on the noble path for the welfare of mankind. The contribution of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar remains a testimony for the hope for freedom, the hope for enlightenment, and the hope for emancipation. Whoever fights for that hope fights on behalf of us all. The life of Babasaheb Ambedkar has given inspiration and hope to the people of India and has also given hope to the people of the world. I extend my greeting and Jai Bhim to all followers and admirers of our beloved champion, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. To honour Babasaheb is to honour the largest democracy on earth, because it was through his genius that the Constitution of India was born. To honour Babasaheb is to honour the importance and dignity of each human life, for it was he who fought for the equality for the underprivileged, for the poor and the forgotten. To honour Babasaheb is to honour individual achievement, for his life, from being born underprivileged to scholar and statesman, stands as an example to all future generations, such as mine. To honour Babasaheb is to honour all that is best in human life, for he gave his life in service to others, to bring hope where there had been despair and where there had been poverty. With these words, I pay homage to my master and saviour, Babasaheb Ambedkar.
Thank you, Sanji. And I correct myself, that was not poem but prose. Coordination, Mr. Rajan, to say the vote of thanks to all of you.
First of all, I would like to thank a large number of Ambedkarites gathered here. I think we need to look for a bigger, much bigger place to accommodate in the future days. It shows the popularity, even increasing popularity of Babasaheb Ambedkar. Today, the keynote speaker, he spoke about various facets of Ambedkar and his contribution to shape up India's destiny while celebrating the differences, while seeing the malaise now ailing the country. He said that we can refer back to Ambedkar's ideas to find a solution. That is really great. I thank Lord Dolakia for his keynote address. Our acting High Commissioner, Dr. Virendra Pal, he, while quoting about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reference as Viswa Manav about Babasaheb, he mentioned
that it should not be, his ideas should not be confined to a particular section. The whole world should celebrate Ambedkar. That's what he has been speaking in his speeches since morning. I thank the Acting High Commissioner for his minute planning from the beginning for making this program successful. I thank Srimati Santosh Das for all the cooperation and for her drive in keeping the momentum of the Ambedkar ideals. She mentioned one thing, that the injustice, like in those days, it should not be just tolerated. Even now, the fighting spirit one should keep up. That's fantastic. Ms. Santosh Das. Mukhrika Banerjee, she recalled the 100 years back how Baba Saheb joined LSE, facts which people do not know, or that she recalled a fantastic presentation. And it was real eye-opener. I would also like to see those papers in which Ambedkar wrote with his own hands there in LSE. Fantastic. I thank her. And LSE also for the first time they have a very good program. I thank Yuvraj Ahirji, President Shri Guru Ravidas Sabha, Southall. They have been all along a big support and very strong. Ambedkarites brought a large number of people from Southall. I thank him. And also I would like to thank our very Mr. M.P. Singh. Fantastic, the way he compared all along, he sprinkled the Ambedkar thoughts very rightly, correctly, and he insisted that he should carry back the thoughts. That was fantastic. I like to thank the mayors, worshipful mayors, representatives, and all, each and every one of you present here, especially the representative from Maharashtrian government. They are in the forefront in acquiring the Ambedkar memorial and developing it. I should thank each and every one of you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. We are just about to conclude, but before we conclude, we have one small duty of unveiling of the special souvenir brought out by the Fabo. I request Lord Dolakia, Minister Coordination, Mr. Rajan, Madam Santosh Das, to be on the stage. Mr. Dingley, Madam Mayor. We do have food for you, so don't be. Spare some energy and give them a good round of applause as they unveil the book. Thank you so very much. This brings us to the conclusion. But as we go back, we must remember one thought. The Constitution, the framework that has been given, the way it has been given, the way it has evolved, makes us what we are. Inclusive. Thank you, each one of you. Thank you to the Lord Mayors. Thank you to the Minister Coordination, Lord Dolakia, Madam Das, Mr. Yogaraj. I now invite you upstairs to the Nehru Hall for dinner. Thank you very much. Have a safe drive back home.
जय भीम बोलो, लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं। भीम बोलो, लिखा है नाम दिल पे भीम का, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं, दीवाने भीम के जय भीम कहते हैं। मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते, मिली है जब से नई जिंदगी, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से रहते हैं, हम तो जय भीम वाले शान से